Hey guys, just in time here again. So Romney's back at it again. What's new? The guy can never hold a position for more than 10 minutes straight, pretty much, depending on who he's talking to at the moment. But his latest flip and flop back again and flip again, I lose track. I mean, he's pretty much doing cartwheels on most of his positions at this point. But anyways, on FEMA, so during the Republican primary, Romney was pretty strong, pretty consistent in his position that funding for FEMA should be cut and should go back to the state levels, and whatever you can get back to the state levels is better, and then what can go to the private sector is better yet. And of course, see, that's the problem with somebody like Romney, who just won't hold a real position so that you can debate it, so the American people can make a decision based on which vision is best for America. He always has to change his position. So as soon as you try to point out something like this hurricane, was a perfect example of why you need to have a program like FEMA and why you need federal funding that can step in and a federal government to help out individual states when a disaster like this happens. That's too big for any individual state. But anyways, then as soon as something like that happens and points it out, then he just changes his position. And oh no, now what's his new position? Now he says, as president, I'll ensure that FEMA funding has the funding that it needs to do its job. Oh, big surprise. So the first day after Sandy, he wouldn't even answer the question. He was asked 14 times by reporters if he would fund, still cut funding to FEMA or, send it back to the states, and he refused to answer, as if he shouldn't be obligated to answer that question, especially at this kind of, I mean, this is the greatest disaster we've seen probably in the Obama presidency, and Romney refuses to answer on what he would do as far as FEMA. So it takes him 2 days to even get around to that. How's he going to actually respond to some kind of disaster? So, and then his VP candidate, Paul Ryan, he already said that he thinks we should only fund disaster relief by cutting funding to other programs. So if we have a huge disaster, which of course the Republicans are already the ones who denied global warming and climate change and everything else that's put us in this mess, just like their economic policies are what put us in the economic crisis that we were in. Now we're facing an environmental crisis due to the exact same dogmas and disbelief and denials of just obvious facts. So now we're facing the disaster, and now Paul Ryan says, oh, we can only pay for disaster relief if we cut funding from Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and from other things. It's just ridiculous, And so anyways, that's how he would do it. So we have a huge disaster that's just going to cost billions and billions of dollars. And who's going to get cut now? Old people aren't going to get their Social Security checks, or you're just not going to have any relief, and we're going to lose cities, basically. So, interestingly enough, though, Chris Christie, who was the keynote speaker at the Republican convention this year, is actually now, of course, praising Obama and praising FEMA and saying what a wonderful job they've done. He's like the kid who's getting beat up on the schoolyard, and you run out there to help him out, and he's so emotional, and, oh, thank you, that he's lost himself and is actually speaking the truth for a day. I'm sure tomorrow he's going to have the worst hangover ever when he hears what he was saying. And of course already Rush Limbaugh is up in arms. The Republicans are all condemning him. I think Rush Limbaugh literally said, I won't even be as graphic as Limbaugh was, but basically referred to him as Obama's gay lover now, just because he spoke the truth and said Obama's doing a good job with the disaster relief. But anyways, these people could care less about people or human beings. It's just profit margins. I mean, could you imagine the idea of sending disaster relief back to corporations, back to the private sector, like Romney says would be the ideal situation? So you have Halliburton coming in there to do the disaster relief. You know how much a bottle of water is going to be? $5. That's all they're going to do is price gouge and make as much money, because the fact is, if they can't make money off it, there's no corporations going to be interested in doing it. That's the bottom line. So if they can make money off it, then that's horrible. They're going to go into a disaster situation, price gouge, and make money off of these poor people who are, anyways, it's obvious. It's an obvious point. And it's, the fact that Romney has proposed it and that his vice president, has also come out and said this. And now when they actually face a disaster and see people dying and all the destruction, oh, they can't stand by their principles now and just say, well, we told you we can't afford it, so suck it up. Jersey Shore, that's it. Your roller coaster's in the ocean. No, now they switch positions, and now, oh, of course we'd fund it. Well, anyways, I just think it's important 2 days before the election that people realize, this is just the type of thing that's in jeopardy if Romney gets in there and if the Republicans get, all three houses basically, because they could hold the House and the Senate and we get a Republican president, and we could lose FEMA. We could lose disaster relief. We could lose a lot of other things, a lot of other federal programs. So anyways, I'm just in time, and I'm going to have a review out quickly on who's going to win the election. So I got some good information for that, and I'll put a link right up here. So keep an eye out for it. Catch you next one.